Morning, everybody. It is 8:40 in the morning on this Friday, last day of the week, and this is your pre-opening comment video number 1952. Okay, there's really nothing here. There aren't any economic numbers. American Express reported they beat top and bottom line. Excuse me. As a matter of fact, their earnings, unlike those that have been lowered, and lowered again on the expectation side, actually beat. And in fact, their increase in earnings was 34% year over year. So that actually is a real beat. In the meantime, the stock is doing nothing. It's 149 and three quarters, and that is up a big 14 cents. Um, However, that's in the face of a market that has pretty much been steadily lower all morning in the futures. At 7, we were down 73 in the Dow. At 8, we were down 58. And then at 8:30, we were back to down 120, currently down 92. NASDAQ, same situation, down 38 to down 33 to now down 68 at 8:30, now down 59. And the S&P down 8, down 8, down 16, currently down 14 and a half. As everybody probably knows by now from the senile old man's speech last night, I didn't bother to watch it, but I did see it on highlights. Um, he's just too difficult to watch. I mean, his stumbling and fumbling and not finishing questions and answers. I mean, it's embarrassing. But they're going to throw more money at everything that they can. I'm not arguing the fact that we should be supporting either Israel and or the Ukraine, but you know, sometimes throwing money isn't the way to get it done. Okay, Asia and Europe both down. The yen is pushing 149 versus the dollar. That is a very dangerous area. I've discussed Japan before. They are probably the biggest holders of U.S. treasuries, which continue to fall every day, which is a direct reflection on their currency. So looks like 150 may be in the bag, and that is a very dangerous number. SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The Department of Energy announced that they are going to buy 6 million barrels, which is really a drop in the bucket considering, we're below 400 million and we ought to be twice that. And true to form, this is something they're not throwing money at because they're only willing to pay $79, a price they could have paid well before, and in fact, an additional $10 or $15 lower than that. So we'll have to see how that goes. Solar Edge, I mentioned it last night, but last night it was only down 30. Um, Pretty ugly move. It's continued lower again today. Uh, its last is 81.88, and that is down 32.10. So that's pretty ugly. I mentioned last night that they are behind on sales and installations in Europe, and that they have an inventory problem, so they are discounting. Um, that's a problem for them. Another company that, if you listened to everyone in March and April of this year, could not go down. When you hear that a stock is that reliable and it hits the wires that people are saying it cannot go down, you ought to be running for the hills. Um, the stock was 557, then broke to the downside and rallied back to 467, then rallied to another lower high and broke to the downside and traded as low as 369. Today, that stock is trading 375. That's up $2, but a 34% decline. And the name of that stock is Ulta. Big box, great company, great store. But, when everybody already owns it, who's left to buy it? This is the same situation that I think that we're running into with NVIDIA. I mean, it's still much closer to the highs, which are a little over 500. And in fact, the actual high in extended hours was 520 when they had their last earnings report. And it's now 416.91. So 417 down from 520. That's 20%. And frankly, it left a gap on the upside, the earnings period before that, when it closed at 305, and then the next day closed at 379, up 74 and a half. So this is not one that is immune either. And yes, they do have a lot of good things going on. But, yesterday when it was reported, or the day before yesterday, when it was reported that we were going to restrict the sales of certain of their chips to China, the stock opened down 30. So, again, not a stranger to volatility. Okay, the chart on the screen is the copper, and everybody knows if they listen that I really like the copper in here. I've liked it in this 350, 360 area for a long time. We've traded it successfully and we've traded it unsuccessfully. But we are now sitting on the lower Bollinger Band. We're right into this same area from last year at this time when we bottomed and broke out here and ran from about 350 straight up to 435 in a matter of 6 or 8 weeks. We're back to that area. It is a little precarious here. We had this long-term pennant that was working. We broke through the bottom of it. We haven't really fallen as much as I'd expect, but the MACD is rolling over, although relative strength is so low that we could see a move back to the upside. The good thing about looking at a chart like this, when you see a low of 354 and a half, and you're currently trading at 356.80, you're talking about an area where you could easily use a stop for an extremely short term trade. If we turn to the upside, you may get a continuation back to $4, which would just be the upper Bollinger Band. So I'm going to have to take a strong look at that. As far as the rest of the futures, as I mentioned in Sunday night's letter and a couple of times during the week, the grains looked like they were sitting in the same kind of patterns that the copper was. And since then, we've had a nice little bounce. We had an initial bounce in soybeans, but we now have had, I'm going to get rid of this Bollinger Band so you can see a little bit more clearly. We did turn up a bit here. We did break out for the week. We're up about $11, 11 cents in the corn at 504. Nothing overwhelming, but trying. As you can see, the 5 day is rolling to the upside while the 20 is still moving down. We'll probably get across there. If we continue this way, we'll probably get across there maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. As far as the biggest mover, the beans, they were a little further away from their previous low, but they did regain the 200-week MA. And for the week, this week, they're up 30 cents a bushel, which is substantial. Same situation with the wheat. I really liked the wheat probably the most, as my letter said on Sunday. And it was the closest to the bottom. And for the week, it's up 16. So that's a pretty decent move. Same situation. They're trying to roll the 20-week, but we're still somewhat negative. We bounced off oversold on the RSI, and we're pretty much just neutral in the MACD. Gold has had a phenomenal move in the last week and a half or two. We've come all the way back from bouncing off the 200-week MA down here at 1820, and we're trading 1990. So we broke this little downtrend line. We are into some supply here between 1990 and 20 and a quarter. Have to see how that works out. We have expiring options from today. MACD is not showing overbought, and in fact looks like it's ready to roll to the upside. I would say with the amount of problems that we have in the world today, and the seriousness of those problems, that we're probably going to get a new high on the gold, and 2200 in the short term would not surprise me for next month. Bitcoin up again 1200 this morning, I believe. Bitcoin now up only 950 at 29,850. It was 30,465 on the high today. Ethereum also moving. The dollar basically unchanged. The bonds, which were actually higher, have now turned around back to the downside, which I guess is why we're seeing the sell off in the stock futures. I mean, it couldn't look much uglier than this, and you have to go back quite a distance. You have to go back 20 years, or let's call it 16 years. 16 years to see this level again. And open interest is continuing to rise. Falling prices, higher open interest generally is new short positions being taken. This is very dangerous for a market like this. I identified the same situation here, and we traded from this level just to here to another lower high right at the prior breakdown, and we made 277%. So I'm going to keep an eye on that one for sure. All right, everyone. Have a great long weekend. It's not a long weekend, but have a great weekend. And I'll be back Monday morning.